I think I quit my job in order to create a different life. I kind of am good at following the rules, right? So you go to college, you get a job, and then I quit my job and went traveling. And then I found a husband, right? And then I got married and had babies and had another job and a nice career.
There are these two Erins. There's the follow the rules Erin, but then there's backpacker Erin.
That's exactly true.
Both Erins are valid.
Yes.
This is The Growth Moment with your coach, Amy Kay. Inspiration, ideas, and incredible insights for you to be more and do more. Get ready to grow today.
This is such a cool episode, all about identifying patterns and different aspects of yourself, figuring out how to integrate and leverage these pieces so you can bring your full, powerful self to the world. My guest is Erin Reeves, a marvelous human who recently quit her job and has started her own business. Transitions are a perfect time for a coaching hit, a chance to remember that you get to choose who to be, that you aren't locked into one way of being, but can weave together a lifetime of strengths, experience, success, and failures, your own unique blend. This episode is for you, whether you are in transition or just want to unlock more of your potential. I found coaching Erin to be deeply relevant for my own growth. My transition is a new decade. I recently turned 60, and I absolutely want to embrace and integrate all the Amys over the years. You get to think about what versions of yourself you might have forgotten or sidelined, which versions you would love to pull into the room because you need what they have to offer. We jump in after I ask Erin what she wants to walk away with from our coaching. As always, listen for the insights and ahas that are meant for you today.
I think what is super helpful is just getting clarity. I'm a talk to think person, so to have someone to talk and think with is really fun. I'm on a journey, so I'm always looking for the next best thing and the next iteration and trying to stay open to what's coming. And sometimes I find talking out loud with someone on purpose about the journey gives answers or makes things more clear than what I can do in my own spinning brain.
And clarity on what?
It's funny because I think I know the path I'm on is like the right one. Like somewhere deep down, I know that. I just have to remind myself all the time. And I think it's really about next step. And it's really about I like a framework. I'm all over the place in terms of ideas right now and possibilities. I feel like there's lots of possibilities. There's lots of paths to, I'm on the right path, but there's lots of branches on that path. And just trying to stay open enough to catch it when I see it and to make sure to kind of not turn down the wrong path, if that makes sense. And just kind of every day make the next best choice and based on what I know and just make sure things are headed in the right direction.
So what Erin do you want to be as you take these next best steps?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think we all develop patterns over time, right? I have a work hard, follow the rules, climb the ladder pattern, a give more than receive, a work too hard pattern. I joke that I've had lots of jobs in lots of places. I have worked from home for 5 years. I still eat lunch at my desk. I can't outrun myself, right? So it is wanting to change some of those patterns for the greater good. I've made a couple of pretty significant life changes recently, and several years ago. And so, it's like, you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to quit a life to do things differently. And not that there hasn't been any more subtle change in my life, and there's lots easier ways to do it, but I tend to kind of go so hard and so fast and follow the rules that I get to a place where I'm like, all right, I'm out. Peace out. See you later. I'm out.
So all of those patterns you describe, do you want those to be your patterns as you choose next best step?
No, I'm trying to change the pattern, right? And
so describe the new patterns I don't know. I just put up a podcast episode on freedom and expansion. It was the last workshop I had done. And so it's this whole theme of from what are you freeing yourself, AKA those patterns, and what are you expanding into? So, I'm connecting the last episode to this episode. So what do you think, Erin? What are you leaving behind and freeing yourself from?
I think that kind of fallacy that busy is important. I'm really focused and think a lot about the power of pause and space and rest. I don't do that very well. I think, I don't like the word balance because it's kind of finite, like 50-50, right? I don't love that. I think the world can be more expansive, but I do think it's about energy. And I think it's trying to follow the energy and create energy, not like actual sun energy, but like emotional energy, right? and following the things that feed you instead of drain you. And then helping other people find where their energy comes from and creating space. I'm really right now thinking a lot about creating spaces for people to find their energy.
So one piece of I love the power of pause. And if it's not balance, because I'm with you sometimes, work-life balance, as if it's supposed to be like the scale that's perfectly balanced on the two sides. But I think more sometimes of balance being, wow, I just got tilted to the right, but I kept my balance because I'm able to move. I'm able to flex.
Yeah, there's some real adaptability that is just part of my person. And I tend to over-rotate almost always towards, that career side of the house or that get things done, or I did 25 things today on my to-do list.
It's so easy, Erin, right? I just proved that I'm a good girl. Look what I did.
That's so right. I'll write things on my list just to tick it off.
Yeah, we're soul sisters already on that.
Totally.
Okay, so potential piece of homework. Usually the homework or the commitments don't come up at the beginning of a session, but I'm wondering whether it would serve you to write out those patterns that you described, put a big X through them or, put up on your wall. Because whenever we're starting a business, building it from scratch, I think those explicit reminders or boundaries of going, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do this.
Right.
You cannot sit at your desk eating your lunch.
Are you sure? Do I have to?
So you want to take that on? Yes.
Do I have to?
Yes, no counter offer. Do you want to take on that piece of homework?
Yeah.
To really clarify the patterns you're leaving behind and replace them.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to do. I'll catch myself. So being more intentional about it and writing it down and having an alternative, right? I think that's the trick. I think we all know what to do, right? It's not that I don't know how to not eat lunch at my desk. I'm capable of doing that very much so.
But what's going to be the catalyst? So I was so intrigued when we talked before the show about how at one point in your life, you decided to change everything and go on a big adventure trip. And this idea of saying yes and taking risks. Tell me about that, Erin. How lucky am I to be someone's talk to think partner, being along for the journey with amazing humans. I love coaching. For today's journey, Erin says she knows she is on the right path, deep down, but wants more clarity on the next best steps, especially with so many paths and possibilities in starting her new business. So where does clarity come from? Inside? Outside? Hence my question, what Erin do you want to be as you take these next best actions? I ask this because it's easy to get caught up on the doing, as opposed to the being that directs the steps. Being clear on who you choose to be almost makes the actions fall into place naturally. Erin is identifying that her normal pattern of work hard, follow the rules, climb the ladder might not be enough now, that she needs to access more, to expand into new patterns. As she puts it, to follow the energy that feeds, not drains me. What about you? I want you to pause and start to consider your patterns. Are they sufficient? Who do you want or need to be to find your next best steps? You absolutely can take time now or later to ponder. In the meantime, we pick up the coaching after I ask Erin to tell me more about the saying yes, taking risks Erin that went on a big adventure when she was younger. This is where it gets really good.
Yeah, that Erin's so much fun. I did everything I was supposed to do. Good student, went to college, got a degree in the right time, went and got my first job. And as I realized never happens, what happened to me in that first job is that my stock options were worth something. So I had a little bit of a windfall, not retire money, but a little bit of a windfall, right? So I was in my mid-20s. I was like, well, this is amazing. Should I buy a house? Should I get a really fancy car? Or maybe I'll just sell everything, buy a backpack, and be a backpacker in Europe. Maybe I'll just do that. And I picked door number 3. So I left my job, got rid of my apartment, sold my car. All of the keys you collect as a young adult, striking out on their own for the first time. All my housewares I was so proud of, all that, kind of nesting stuff I did. I got rid of all of it.
Like your grown-up stuff.
All my grown-up stuff, right? I bought a bed. I bought all the things that you do for a first apartment, and kind of divested myself of all of it. Put some stuff in my parents' garage and bought a backpack and set out to discover the world. And the original trip was 16 weeks. It was fun. It was all over Europe. I was finished with that first trip and it wasn't enough. So I came home for a bit and then I went back out, did some Australia, New Zealand with a side trip to Thailand, which really could be its own trip, but was my side trip. And then came home and then went back out again for about 11 months. And then kind of came back and met my husband on the road. We rendezvoused.
Oh my gosh.
As you do, right? We met in Africa. So when people ask, how did you meet your husband? I'm like, really, there are easier ways to do that.
Maybe easier, but I don't know if there's better ways than that.
Yeah, wrong, right? It's just the way, right? There's no wrong or right way. There's just the way.
But what I'm interested in is in that highest Erin way. So this backpacker Erin that you're describing, what qualities of being would you say she had?
Yeah, adventure for sure.
I was going to say adventurous spirit, right?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, adventure for sure. And, able to work in ambiguity. I left with a one-way ticket and not a return. I left without a hotel for the first night.
So more open-ended. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I bought a rail pass and this was a long time ago, right? No cell phones, no laptop. I checked in at internet cafes every few days. No one ever knew where I was or where I was going. Fearful. Now that I'm a parent, I can't imagine letting that happen in my world, but my parents were super supportive. But yeah, no, adventure for sure. And I think curiosity, I think getting on the road, traveling, meeting people, there's an extrovert inside Erin.
So you're very open. Mm-hmm.
I think open to experiencing and meeting and trying and doing. And interesting, like we're talking about patterns. So that I landed in Rome, my first ever by myself, get off the plane in Rome. And I did like 17 churches and museums in the first 3 days. And I was so burned out on it. Like you're supposed to go see all the things and all the relics and all the piazzas and it's amazing. And Rome is wonderful. And I'm like, I'm done. Like I never need to see another church again after 3 days.
So so I don't know if this is right, but a fast learner, an adapter?
I think that's probably true. I think what it turned out to be, right, pretty quickly, I knew that was not, like, that's a trip.
That's not why you're traveling.
No, no. And so the rule became one thing a day. And that left lots of space for the spontaneity and for meeting someone, and just sitting down to have a coffee. I was hosteling back in the day. So there were always lots of people around, people that were either headed the same direction you were or the opposite direction. Everybody was a backpacker. it was really interesting to just experience what was going on around and not being so planned.
All right. So space to experience.
That's exactly right. Which is kind of what I'm trying to recreate now. Like, space is so important to me.
So we can add more things, but can I play that back to you of what you just said? But in terms of bringing backpacker Erin into the right next steps for today.
Yeah.
All right. So if backpacker Erin is in charge of your next best choices, let's channel her adventurous spirit, able to work with ambiguity, more of a one-way ticket kind of vibe, curiosity, open, all the extrovert flag flying, learning fast and adapting, not just doing something stupid that you don't want to do because that was the plan. A one thing a day rule with loads of space to experience.
Yes. I also discovered that my ideal sleeping pattern is 9 hours a night when I can go to bed. At least in my mid-20s, that was true.
Okay. And 9-hour sleeper. So if we bring backpacker Erin here into the room with us, we're like, hey, we need you. 2025, Erin, it started a business from scratch and she is doing next best choice work. What does backpacker Erin have to add here and to give you mentoring and guidance?
Yeah, I think the things that we've touched on already are things that, funnily, I hadn't thought about them in this way, which is that talk to think piece. But it is really about, saying yes to that, quit your job, go travel, created space, right? To get out of the pattern. It's like the jolt out of the pattern. And then it's up to me.
And you did that same jolt. How long ago?
Almost a year.
So almost a year, you did the jolt of, I'm quitting my job, not to go travel around the world. And I don't think, Erin, not just to start a business, not that it's a just kind of thing, but I quit my job this time in order to blank.
I left my job this time just to have a break, to be honest. Life was a lot, and I had a lot of success, worked in great places with great people. Like I said about lunch, you can't outrun yourself. And it was time to change some patterns. And I had done some tweaking and tuning along the way in my 10 years or 25 years in corporate, but it was time for a more drastic change. I hit a milestone birthday this year. So I think that makes me a little introspective about, is this it? Is this what we're doing? Is this what it's all about? And that really precipitated you just need a break, Erin. You need to think about life differently.
Great. You quit your job to take a break, but what's emerging now? I really quit my job in order to blank.
I think I really quit my job in order to create a different life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I kind of am good at following the rules, right? So you go to college, you get a job, and then I quit my job and went traveling. And then I found a husband, right? And then I got married and had babies and had another job and a nice career.
So, but there are these two Erins. There's the follow the rules Erin, but then there's backpacker Erin.
Yes, that's exactly true.
Both Erins are valid.
Yep. And it's the integrating, right? That I think is more interesting to me. I think it's really integration is what we're talking about.
There we go. Integrating both. So if you team up with her, linked arms, holding hands, both Erins, what do they say are your next best choices? None of us are one-dimensional, but sometimes we forget the rest of who we are, especially if a part of us becomes dominant and drives success, such as corporate Erin, the rule follower, work hard, climb the ladder gal. And then we come to a crossroads. We realize we want something else. We want more. The trick is to remember that you are multi-dimensional. In Erin's case, she's tapping into backpacker Erin from her 20s, the person who embraces adventure, is able to work in ambiguity, curious, open, learns fast and adapts, and values loads of space to just experience. Backpacker Erin is invaluable. Who wouldn't want her on the new business startup team? What a gift. It makes me think of what I will call startup Amy, the one who eagerly moved to Toronto to create a company with phenomenal people in my late 20s. And cross-country Amy, the 34-year-old who left Toronto, drove solo across America and ended up in California, where later I found a new job, future husband, and eventual father of my long-desired child. Sometimes I forget the parts of me that are incredibly bold, spontaneous, deeply independent, and a true risk taker. Those Amys are worth having around as I move into this new decade. Which parts of you need to be called up and in? Can you see some of them right now in front of you? What are their names? What are their qualities or traits? Where can you use these other dimensions for brainstorming, planning, decision-making, or anything else? Go ahead, team up. Now, for our last coaching segment, I asked Erin for advice from both corporate and backpacker Erin. Listen to the whole piece. There are some powerful insights that I know you can use.
Yeah, I think there's a balance of, doing nothing is not an option. Like I want to be in business for myself. I need to have an income. I want to contribute. But how to do that? It's really like, I don't know that I want to follow the most traditional path.
That's what I'm feeling, is that how you go about the type of business you're doing. And you had said before that where purpose is calling you is community, connections, and relationships. How does that tie in?
I come at this with a background, 25 plus years in, human resource, executive management leadership. And it's just part of who I am. I can't leave that part of Erin. She exists inside me now. She is integrated. And what I find myself caring most about is supporting people in their journey, right? In their work journeys, because it's hard. I've done it. I'm, doing it. And I won't say overcome a lot. Like my life is great and, it's been hard. And I'd love to find and create space for people. I think I have the best kind of run or the greatest joy or maybe the best integration. Maybe instead of balance, we're looking for integration when I have a community, because I feel like the Erins, either of them, their own worst enemy is me. It's the stories I tell myself about what's expected or what I can or can't do or should or shouldn't do. It's the limits that you put on. Well, that's not how it works, or that's not how you do it. Like it's those patterns and those tapes.
So would you need backpacker Erin sitting with you all the time? Her sassy 20-something self.
That's right. I have this visual right now of like backpacker Erin on one shoulder and like corporate Erin on the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not quite angel and devil, but you get what I mean.
But I do. And so if the integration, so one, you can play with that, do a week or two of really looking to your left and going, okay, corporate Erin, what do you have to say about this opportunity in front of us? And she'll go blah, 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 blah. And then look to your right. Okay, backpacker Erin, what do you say? How do you approach this? So I like the fact of consulting both and playing with bringing the best, because corporate Erin, we're almost giving her a bad rap a little bit. What's the great stuff that she brings to the table?
I think the great stuff that she brings is, there's an intuition when you've been working with people. I feel like I bring a real calm to the chaos and humanity to the work that I do. I'm proud of the work that I do and did, in kind of more business environments.
And I imagine corporate Erin has a lot of expertise.
She does. She's done some things and been some places. And,
backpacker Erin didn't have all that.
She did not. She didn't know what she didn't know, for sure.
So she's got this great, open, go for it attitude. But so how do we use corporate Erin so that she doesn't shut stuff down and just have you sitting at your desk eating lunch? What are you asking of corporate Erin so that she's just bringing the stuff that you want? I don't know. I'm just saying it, thinking it as I say it out loud.
Yeah, it's, I think the integration is about I don't know that it's about doing different things or bringing new things. I just think it's about putting it together differently.
So can you be specific? Like, what's a great example for that and some of the stuff that's maybe on your plate or opportunities?
Yeah. We are starting, I have a business partner, but we're starting a business, and people ask, oh, so you're doing HR. And so the answer is no, we're not really doing HR. We're doing kind of executive leadership coaching, and we're really helping people in a pinch, right? So already, I think, if we're going to do this backpacker corporate Erin, is influencing the normal path would have just said, yes, I'm doing HR consulting.
Yes, we do all the normal HR thing. Whatever you want, we'll do it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I don't think that's our sweet spot, right? So there's already some impact going through. It's just about having enough confidence and patience to kind of sit with it. and sometimes it's if you build it, will they come? And I think, backpacker Erin is like, I'm just going to go to the corner, and if I take a right or a left, right, I'm going to stay in the city for 1 day or 4 days. Like, oh, never mind, I'm going to leave on day 3. There's just this kind of like whim and whimsy. And I think that in a grown-up world with a husband, kids, and a mortgage,
you're wanting a little more focus than, hey, I'm just going with the wind.
That's exactly
Whatever
right.
comes my way, man.
Yeah. And it's the say yes, but it's the like say yes so that you can say no, I think is really how I think about it. And the yes is follow the energy. Is there joy in your day? Are you having an impact? And the no is like causes you stress. It's doing what's expected.
Well, and inside in your gut, it's not what you want to do. Backpacker Erin, so she almost had an initial brush with a more corporate Erin of go to all these churches.
Go to all the museums. Exactly.
And check those off your list. You need to go do all of these things. And she said, that's not how I roll. That's not what I want to do.
It really is the integration. And it's unusual for an entrepreneur, at least who wants to consult and kind of do the type of work that I'm, leaning into right now, to not have a plan, right? Everyone wants to know what my offer is. I'm like, well, I advise. And so.
Okay. So if you integrate all of yourselves, and I'm sure there's more than 2. So all of Erin at this moment in life, when people say, what's your offer? What is integrated Erin saying?
I'm hesitating because I have 2,000 words, but I don't have 5.
It's okay. Go ahead and you can say 2,000 if you want.
I'm not going to say 2,000, but I think it goes something like, I have kind of a more casual version that I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. So when the shit hits the fan, you call me,
mm-hmm.
Right? So it's when you step in it or it hits the fan. It really is, I think, helping people navigate whatever their challenge moment is.
Okay. So check this out. We're looking for more clarity today, as you said, and that you already know you're on the right path, but there's so many possibilities in front of you. You wanted to be able to talk things out so that you can more easily, not just best choice, but your choice, what you're here on the planet to do.
Yeah. The other, I won't say decision point, but there's this kind of more traditional, build the business, Erin, go talk to the executives in the C-suites and get in that mode. And maybe you do some M&A, and maybe you do restructuring and funding and, just those crisis moments in business. And then there's the other like half of Erin that is like, go build a community so that you can support the people. And it's a little bit.
And that's that community connection relationship piece.
Yes.
Can you do both?
I'm trying to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to. It's and again, it's like, is it distracting one from the other?
So I'm going to check out both. What does Backpacker Erin say about it?
Backpacker Erin says probably just do the community, and then goes home to her parents' house and and that's
She's
dinner.
Like, do the part you really like to do the most. And what does corporate Erin say?
Corporate Erin says that's a nice thing to do, and You need
Go get your consulting business. Go make your money.
You need to build your business. Yeah.
Okay. So integrated Erin says what?
Says,
I'm talking really integrated. They're no longer on your shoulders. They have merged and melded into you.
integrated Erin says, make room for it.
Honestly, I had so much fun integrating these two Erin sides. They make a kick-ass team. And as I mentioned, I'm sure there are many other Erins to blend in, a whole room full. We went on to create some growth commitments around practicing listening to and leveraging all of the Erins to truly integrate, merge, and create a union of these incredible strengths, talent, and experiences. What are you walking away with? What are you eager to explore? Perhaps you do sit down and sort through yourselves. Give them names. Jot down what qualities of being and doing they can offer, then gather them together like a board of advisors so you can bring your full self, all of you, to the world, day to day and over your lifetime. Coaching is inherently about integration. I found this particular growth moment with Erin extremely satisfying, and it was a joy to do. I circled back with Erin to see what was unfolding for her after the coaching. Here's what she said. I've definitely tried to add more adventure into my day-to-day and am intentionally exploring patterns and paths outside of this is how you build a business norm, with some happy little experiments. I'm also really leaning into community, both participating in groups and events around me and starting to create spaces with folks I want to support. I continue to consult with both corporate and backpacker Erin. Now, I would love to be your Talk to Think partner. Please share which parts of yourself you are bringing to the table. You always are welcome to your own personal growth moment, one-on-one private coaching, or join one of my coaching groups or workshops. To get the scoop, visit thegrowthmoment.com and do subscribe, follow on your favorite podcast app and my YouTube channel. Now get out there and grow today.